Breaking news! Kelvin Gastelum versus Israel Adesanya has been set for the interim UFC middleweight championship at UFC 236 alongside, hopefully, another interim belt between Tony Ferguson and Max Holloway. Interim fucking fun, baby. It is going to be a fun time for interim champions. Now, we're going to see how much the interim belt means. We've got two of them on the line coming up, hopefully. So we're going to see how the UFC treats them both. Now, I just find it weird, in my opinion, how the number 4 and the number 5 ranked middleweight are fighting for an interim belt. But I also understand it because if you look into the top, you can't have Yoel Romero fight for a belt. Robert Whittaker's beat him twice. Say what you want about the second decision. I thought it was a draw. Oh well. On the scoreboard, Yoel Romero is 0-2 against Robert Whittaker. You can't have him fight for a belt until Whittaker loses it. So, I understand. Number 2 ranked guy, Luke Rockhold, coming off a knockout loss over Yoel Romero. And he's done fuck all since then. He's done fuck all since UFC 221. So you can't have him fight for it. Then number 3, you've got Jacare, who Gastelum beat. But is somehow ranked above Gastelum. I don't know if they've changed that recently. They might have done. But who knows? It's just the way the middleweight division is at the moment. You kind of need an interim belt. I was wholeheartedly against stripping Robert Whittaker. But if you're stripping him to make an interim belt, I don't mind that. I'm just against the fact that Whittaker should have his belt taken away from him and no longer be champion. That doesn't make any fucking sense to me. However, an interim belt, I'm okay with that one. I'm okay with that. And I feel like Kelvin Gastelum should be okay with it as well. Here's how I felt about the Kelvin versus Robert fight. Kelvin put up this front that, oh, I really wanted to fight as well. Like, oh, this is a fucking, oh, it's so annoying. I didn't get to fight. Robert pulled out. In retrospect, this was good for Kelvin Gastelum. You don't want to fight Robert Whittaker in a 5-round matchup when you've got staph infection. You aren't going to last more than 1 or 2 rounds when you've got staph infection, especially as bad as Kelvin Gastelum had it. Now, Israel Adesanya obviously come off his win after the number 15 ranked Anderson Silva. He beat the number 15 ranked Anderson Silva, and that gives him a title shot. Yeah. That's really interesting. Anyway, let's talk about the matchup. My eyes are watering for some reason. I'm not high. I don't know what's just happened to me. Maybe I'm crying because of what's happened to the UFC. Now, another striker for Israel Adesanya. I'm going to edge towards Israel Adesanya. Kelvin Gastelum is a phenomenal striker. Actually, I don't know. I'm going to go for Kelvin Gastelum. I've just changed my mind on the spot. I'm going to go for Kelvin Gastelum because Israel Adesanya, say what you want about him, he doesn't have knockout power in his hands. Actually, no, I'm going to go for Israel Adesanya. I don't fucking know who's going to win this fight, honestly. I'm going to go for Israel Adesanya. It's another striker, another fucking beautiful matchup for him. He's only ever had strikers in his entire career, other than his debut. But that guy was just someone who they brought in off the street by the looks of things. He faces Marvin Vettori, a kickboxer. Then he goes on to face Brad Tavares, who's a kickboxer. Then he goes on to face... Who did he face next? Derek Brunson, who, although is a wrestler at heart, he prefers to keep it standing and try things that way. And also he showed up... He didn't even show up to that fight, so it doesn't really count. Then you move on. Great performance by Israel Adesanya, though. I'm not taking anything away from Israel because of how bad Derek Brunson did. Israel made him look that bad because of how imposing and how threatening he was to Derek Brunson. Now, another striker for Israel Adesanya. Okay, alright. They're giving him a nice road to the title, but if he gets the belt, it doesn't matter because eventually he's going to have to face the Yoel Romeros, the Jacares, the Chris Weidmans if they win their next few fights, I guess. But, yeah, great fight. Great fight between Israel Adesanya and Kelvin Gastelum. I just feel like, although Israel Adesanya doesn't have the knockout power in his hands, and Kelvin, by the way, can wrestle his fucking ass off. So that's a factor in this fight, but I don't feel like Kelvin's going to want to wrestle. I feel like he's want to get on the inside, land the 1-2. Israel Adesanya reacts very badly to getting hit. Even against Anderson Silva would hit him and he'd go fucking flying into the cage like, oh, just back up as much as possible, get back to his range. I'm not saying he doesn't have a chin, even though he has been knocked out before with bigger gloves and shit like that. He's phenomenal. He doesn't have the one-shot knockout power in his hands to put down Kelvin Gastelum, you know? I just feel like the difference here is Kelvin's so short compared to Israel Adesanya that I think the knees of Israel Adesanya are going to come into factor a lot. However, it's a risky thing to throw because let's say he hits Kelvin in the chest with the knee and Kelvin stuffs the knee and then uses it to get in on a single leg and get a takedown off of it. We're going to see a lot in this fight, but I feel like the knees and the kicks of Israel Adesanya to the body are going to play a huge factor in this fight. Maybe he uses the elliptical kick on Kelvin. Here's how I see anyone beating Kelvin. Fucking elliptical kick the front knee. You know when you pop their knee out of place. Then maybe go to the body. Front kicks are good against Kelvin. He's got a very wide body. You will notice that. He's very short, but he's very wide. He's like a square coming towards you. So there's a lot of body mass for you to hit. Not saying he's fat, but I mean, he has got some body fat on him. But either way, I feel like the front kicks, and he's also a very head-first, coming forward style of Mexican fighter. I just feel like Israel Adesanya is going to be too technical for him. I didn't like the matchup between Kelvin and Robert Whittaker. I thought Robert Whittaker was going to piece Kelvin up all day, every fucking day. This is what we want to see, because neither guy before this has earned to go straight to the title. So an interim title, I don't mind, because now they're basically fighting for the number one contender spot. I would have been pissed. I was pissed when Kelvin got the shot, because it's kind of weird that he got the shot, but I understand the situation the division's in, obviously. And then Israel Adesanya, if he got a title shot off of an Anderson Silva win, then that would have been a fucking piss take as well. But I'm happy that they're doing these two together. Because let's face it, if the top of the division's going to complain, Chris Weidman, shut your fucking mouth. Shut up. Shut the fuck up. You've lost 4 out of your last 5. What don't you understand? Your last win was against Kelvin Gastelum. Fair enough. You beat the guy. That doesn't mean shit. You lost to Jacare. You lost to Gegard Mousasi. You lost to Luke Rockhold. You lost to Yoel Romero. You lost to Jacare. I think I've already mentioned that one. But you're fucking losing over and over again. How are you so entitled? You need to get at least 2 wins in a fucking row before your name ever gets mentioned. I feel like Israel Adesanya is going to win this one. But I also feel like I'm not a fan of Rob. As much as you say I favoritise Robert Whittaker in these matchups and I always pick him to win. Have I been wrong yet? Before I made this channel, I picked him to beat Jacare. Then I picked him to beat Yoel. Then on this channel, I picked him to beat Yoel again. He wins. Then I picked him to beat Kelvin Gastelum. It doesn't happen. Oh well, I just feel like he's the guy right now. He's the guy who's going to go through legacy. And you can call me a fan and a nut rider all you want. But it's not because of his personality. It's not like he's this hilarious guy and he's not like he's from my hometown. I'm from London. He's from Australia. He's literally on the opposite side of the fucking world to me. Okay? I just feel like he's the perfect guy to beat these guys. To beat Jacare, you need Robert Whittaker. He's designed to beat Jacare. To beat Yoel Romero, you need Robert. He's designed to beat Yoel Romero. Robert Whittaker is a mixed martial artist. And I think he's designed to beat both Kelvin and both Israel Adesanya. So, we'll see how this fight goes. But UFC 236 is looking to be a good card. A real good card. Because there's no McGregor on it. It's in April. We thought McGregor was going to be back for April. He's not going to be back. Apparently he's fighting Cowboy. They'll probably give him a UFC 238 spot. Something like that. And Whittaker will probably fight on that card. Because most likely it will happen in June. So, yeah. UFC 236 is looking to be a very good card. Very good card. I can't wait. Imagine Israel Adesanya, Kelvin Gastelum at the top. Interim title. Interim title is the co-main event. You've got Max Holloway versus Tony Ferguson. Interim lightweight title. That's enough for a pay-per-view for me. I don't give a shit about anything else. That is enough for me. Those 4 fighters on the same card for a pay-per-view. I won't buy it because who the fuck pays for pay-per-views? I'll be illegally streaming that shit all day, every day. Yeah, that's a great card though. Just that alone. And then obviously you chuck in some names on the bottom, on the main card, on the prelims. Do whatever you want with those two. But those 4 fighters alone are enough for a pay-per-view for me. Easily. I can't wait. That's going to be great. I'm going to enjoy that. Oh well. I think Israel Adesanya is going to win though. We'll see. We shall see. Wow. UFC is so good right now. And if you say otherwise, then I don't know. The UFC is just... In retrospect, I'm glad Robert Whittaker pulled out, because now we get this, and we get a fight with one of them and Robert Whittaker. You know? So we're basically getting double our money. We don't get Whittaker versus Gastelum, but now we get to see Gastelum versus Israel Adesanya, and then either one of those guys fight Whittaker. And also, April 13th is UFC 236, which is 6 weeks away. 6 weeks away? Around 6 weeks, or probably like 7 weeks away. April 13th, all this time ago, was the very day that Kelvin Gastelum won the Ultimate Fighter. April 13th. I don't believe in spiritual shit or God at all, because if God existed, why would he make me an atheist? Why would God design people not to believe in him? That doesn't make any sense. But yeah, now I've offended a few people. I just feel like Israel Adesanya's got this one in the bag. But that is a coincidence with Kelvin. Like and subscribe. Some things to think about. See you later. Fuck, I missed the button. Alright, like and subscribe. See you later. Bye. Israel's going to knock him out. And no, he isn't. Israel's going to dominate him for 5 rounds.